Ladies and gentlemen, there is no pain like the betrayal of family. There is no wound deeper than the one inflicted by those who were supposed to love you. The enemy that comes from outside can be fought, ignored, or escaped. But what do you do when the enemy is within? What do you do when the very people who share your blood become the ones who drain your peace? Tonight, I want to talk about something that most people are afraid to address. We have been told that family is everything. We have been conditioned to believe that no matter what, we must tolerate the abuse, manipulation, and sabotage of those who share our last name. But I have come to tell you that peace is a gift from God, and anything that threatens it, no matter the source, must be handled with wisdom. Many people live their entire lives enslaved by family expectations, weighed down by toxic relationships, and burdened by the guilt that comes from breaking free. But I want you to understand this: your destiny is too great to be held hostage by dysfunctional people. Your assignment is too important to be delayed by family members who refuse to grow. And your peace is too valuable to be sacrificed for relationships that bring you nothing but pain. The Bible is filled with stories of people who had to separate from family to fulfill their purpose. Joseph had to leave his brothers behind to step into his calling. Abraham had to leave his father's house to become the father of nations. Even Jesus himself said, "Who is my mother? Who are my brothers?" Not because he didn't love his family, but because he understood that kingdom purpose comes before blood connection. Tonight I will share with you 7 powerful truths that will set you free from the bondage of toxic family ties. 7 principles that will empower you to walk in peace without guilt or regret. 7 revelations that will equip you to protect your destiny even when the battle is coming from within your own household. Listen carefully, because these words will liberate you. Not everyone related to you is assigned to you. Family is defined by purpose, not just by blood. There are people in your family who have the same DNA as you, but do not have the same destiny. You must learn to discern who is meant to walk with you and who is simply connected to you by birth. Just because someone is a relative does not mean they are part of your assignment. When Joseph was young, he had dreams of greatness, but his own brothers could not handle his vision. They were related to him by blood, but they were not connected to his purpose. They despised him, betrayed him, and tried to kill him. Why? Because when you carry a divine calling, those closest to you may not be able to handle what God has placed inside of you. Many people spend their lives trying to convince their family to support them, love them, or believe in them. But the truth is, not everyone in your family will understand what God is doing in your life. Some will reject you, not because you have done anything wrong, but because your greatness exposes their insecurities. You must stop expecting approval from those who were never meant to walk with you. Jesus himself faced rejection in his own hometown. The people who knew him as a child could not accept him as the Messiah. Familiarity breeds contempt. And sometimes the greatest opposition comes from those who think they know you best. This is why you must be willing to separate when necessary. Separation is not hatred, it is alignment. When Abraham left his father's house, it was not because he despised his family, but because his calling required distance. Some of you are holding on to people that God has already instructed you to walk away from. Let them go, or you will delay your destiny. Do not let the guilt of family loyalty keep you in bondage. Honor your family, love them, pray for them, but do not allow them to control your life. You are called to obedience to God, not to the expectations of those who refuse to see your purpose. Peace is a divine gift, not a human obligation. Peace is one of the greatest gifts that God has given to mankind. It is not just a state of mind. It is a supernatural force that protects your heart and mind. Yet many people allow their peace to be stolen by family members who thrive on chaos, conflict, and control. If you are not careful, you will spend your entire life fighting battles that were never meant to be yours, simply because you feel obligated to do so. When Jesus was on earth, he made a powerful statement. My peace I give to you, not as the world gives do I give to you. This means that true peace is not dependent on circumstances, relationships, or external validation. It comes from a deep place of divine rest, a place where the noise of the world, including the noise of toxic family members, cannot reach you. Many people have been conditioned to believe that it is their responsibility to keep the family together at all costs. They suffer in silence, endure mistreatment, and tolerate disrespect because they believe it is their duty to maintain peace. But true peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of God's order. If maintaining a relationship means you must sacrifice your mental health, your joy, and your spiritual well-being, then that is not peace. There are family members who will intentionally disturb your peace because they see it as a threat. They are so used to dysfunction that they do not know how to handle someone who has found stability. They will create drama, spread lies, and attempt to pull you back into the cycle of negativity. Why? Because your peace exposes their lack of it. Some people thrive on chaos because it makes them feel powerful. But you must remember, God has not called you to be a prisoner of someone else's dysfunction. Protecting your peace is an act of spiritual warfare. It requires discernment, boundaries, and sometimes even distance. You cannot allow people to drag you into endless arguments, emotional manipulation, and unnecessary conflicts. Sometimes the greatest spiritual weapon you have is silence. When you refuse to engage in the toxicity, you strip the enemy of his power. Your peace is a gift. Do not give it away freely to people who do not value it. If someone in your family refuses to respect your boundaries, it is not your job to convince them. You simply remove yourself. When you begin to walk in true peace, you will find that not everyone can come with you, and that is okay, because the presence of peace is the evidence of divine alignment. When love turns into manipulation, it's no longer love. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. But when love is twisted into control, it is no longer love. It is manipulation. Many people suffer under the illusion that just because someone in their family says they love them, it justifies toxic behavior. But love without respect is not love. Love that demands blind obedience is not love. Love that uses guilt as a weapon is not love. It is control. Manipulation is one of the most dangerous tools that toxic family members use. It is subtle, deceptive, and deeply damaging. It often disguises itself as concern, responsibility, or tradition. You will hear phrases like, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me," or "Family always sticks together no matter what." But the real meaning behind these words is simple. Do what I say, or I will make you feel guilty. True love allows freedom. It does not demand submission through fear. It does not use obligation as a leash to keep you tied to toxic environments. When someone truly loves you, they respect your decisions, even if they do not agree with them. But when love is used as a tool for manipulation, it becomes a prison. Many people live their lives trying to please family members who will never be satisfied. They make decisions based on what their parents, siblings, or relatives expect of them, rather than what God has called them to do. And in doing so, they lose themselves. They become shadows of their true potential, controlled by the fear of disappointing those who claim to love them. It is time to break free from the chains of manipulation. Love should bring joy, not fear. It should encourage growth, not demand control. If someone's love for you requires that you suppress your own voice, it is not love, it is bondage. And you have the right to walk away from it. Jesus never allowed himself to be manipulated, not even by his own family. When his mother and brothers tried to force him into their expectations, he made it clear, whoever does the will of my Father is my family. He understood that spiritual alignment is more important than biological ties. And if Jesus had to set that boundary, so do you. Protecting your peace requires bold decisions. Walking in peace is not for the weak. It requires boldness. It requires the courage to make decisions that others may not understand. It requires the willingness to be misunderstood, criticized, and even rejected. Because when you choose peace, you automatically reject dysfunction. And some people will not like that. One of the biggest lies that people believe is that setting boundaries is selfish. But the truth is, boundaries are necessary for survival. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot heal in the same environment that broke you. You cannot grow if you are constantly surrounded by negativity. Some of the hardest decisions you will ever make will involve family. You may have to say no to toxic gatherings. You may have to distance yourself from people who refuse to change. You may even have to walk away from relationships that have become harmful. And it will not be easy, but it will be necessary. There are people who will accuse you of being ungrateful. They will try to make you feel guilty for choosing yourself. They will say you have changed. And they are right. Because growth requires change. Peace requires change. And the moment you stop changing is the moment you stop living. Do not let the opinions of others keep you in a place that is destroying you. People who truly love you will respect your decisions, even if they do not understand them. But those who only want to control you will fight you every step of the way. And that is how you will know who really values you. At the end of your life, you will not be judged by how well you pleased your family. You will be judged by how well you fulfilled your purpose. Choose wisely. Guilt is the weapon of the toxic. Guilt is one of the strongest weapons in the hands of toxic people. It is the invisible chain that keeps you bound to relationships that no longer serve your growth. When family members realize they cannot control you through direct manipulation, they will often resort to guilt. And if you are not careful, Guilt will make you return to places God has already called you to leave. Guilt disguises itself as love, but it is not love. It is a strategy of emotional control. Toxic family members will remind you of everything they have ever done for you, not out of genuine love, but as a way to make you feel indebted to them. They will say things like, after all I've sacrificed for you, this is how you treat me? Or if you really love this family, you wouldn't act this way? But let me remind you, love does not demand repayment. True love gives freely without expecting control in return. Many people stay in harmful family dynamics because they feel guilty for leaving. They feel guilty for choosing peace over chaos. They feel guilty for putting their mental, emotional, and spiritual health first. But let me ask you this. What good are you to anyone if you are constantly drained, broken, and burdened? You cannot be a light in this world if you are trapped in darkness. There are some family members who do not want to see you succeed. They may not say it outright, but their actions reveal their true intentions. They are comfortable with you as long as you remain at their level. But the moment you start to elevate, they will use guilt to try to pull you back down. They will call you selfish. They will say you have forgotten where you came from. But the truth is, they are afraid of what your growth means for them. Jesus never allowed guilt to dictate his decisions. When his own family tried to stop him from fulfilling his mission, he did not allow their words to deter him. He stayed focused on his purpose. And if Jesus did not let guilt control him, why should you? You must understand this. Guilt is a trick of the enemy. If someone truly loves you, they will support you even when they do not benefit from your decisions. If someone truly loves you, they will not use guilt to manipulate you into submission. Do not let guilt keep you in a place where God is calling you out. Separation is sometimes the price of destiny. One of the most painful but necessary lessons in life is that separation is sometimes required for elevation. You cannot carry everyone with you into your next season. Some relationships are for a lifetime, but others are only for a season. And if you try to hold on to people that God is trying to separate you from, you will delay your own destiny. Abraham was called to be the father of nations, but God told him something specific. Leave your father's house and go to the land I will show you. Why? Because sometimes the very people who raised you cannot handle the weight of your calling. Sometimes, in order to become who you are meant to be, some people will never see you beyond who you were. No matter how much you grow, they will always see you as the child, the little sibling, the one who should stay in their place. This is why Jesus said, a prophet is without honor in his own home. The people who are closest to you are often the ones least likely to recognize your greatness. And if you are not careful, their perception of you will become your prison. Separation is not a sign of hatred, it is a sign of purpose. When Joseph was betrayed by his brothers and sold into slavery, it seemed like a terrible thing. But in reality, it was the very thing that positioned him for greatness. Had he stayed with his family, he would have never reached the palace. Some of you are trying to hold on to relationships that are actually holding you back. You must ask yourself a difficult question. Are you more committed to your past or to your future? Because you cannot have both. If you truly want to walk in the fullness of your destiny, you must be willing to let go of anything and anyone that hinders you. Do not be afraid of separation. Sometimes it is the greatest act of obedience. Some doors will only open when you have the courage to close others. If you have to walk alone for a season, do not be discouraged. The right people will find you in the right season, and when they do, you will realize that the separation was worth it. True family is found in purpose, not just blood. One of the biggest misconceptions in life is that family is determined by blood alone. But Jesus himself redefined family when he said, "Whoever does the will of my Father is my brother, sister, and mother." This means that true family is not just about who you are related to, it is about who is aligned with your purpose. Some of you have been trying to force relationships that no longer fit where God is taking you. You keep trying to make people understand you, love you, and support you, but they are not capable of doing so. It is time to stop expecting something from people who do not have the capacity to give it. Not everyone who shares your last name shares your heart. Not everyone who grew up in the same house as you is meant to walk with you in your destiny, and that is okay. Do not waste your energy trying to change people who refuse to grow. Instead, ask God to bring the right people into your life. The ones who will encourage you, uplift you, and help you fulfill your purpose. You do not have to suffer alone just because of family ties. There are people who will love you as you are. There are people who will support your dreams, speak life into you, and push you to become better. But you will never find them if you keep holding on to relationships that drain you. Do not be afraid to redefine family. Family is not just about who was there at the beginning of your life. It is about who walks with you toward your destiny. Some of your greatest allies will not be blood relatives, but they will be God-ordained connections who understand your vision and support your journey. You were not created to struggle through life alone. God will send the right people at the right time. But you must be willing to let go of the wrong ones first. And when you do, you will realize that true family is not found in genetics. It is found in purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a choice to make. You can continue living under the weight of toxic family ties, or you can step into the freedom that God has for you. You can stay bound by guilt and manipulation, or you can walk boldly into your destiny. But you cannot do both. I want you to understand this. Choosing peace is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of obedience. God did not create you to be miserable. He did not call you to live in constant turmoil, drained by relationships that do not serve His purpose for your life. He called you to walk in peace, in joy, and in divine purpose. Some of you have been wrestling with this decision for a long time. You have been afraid to set boundaries, afraid to walk away, afraid of what people will say. But I am here to tell you, you do not need anyone's permission to protect your peace. You do not need anyone's approval to follow your calling. It is time to break free. It is time to rise above the expectations of people and step into the divine will of God. Do not let family ties keep you bound when God is calling you to more. Choose peace, choose purpose, choose destiny. And when you do, you will find that the life God has for you is far greater than anything you leave behind. Go forth in strength, go forth in courage, and most of all, go forth in peace.